This build is an absolute abomination that shouldn't exist, but watch as it makes this fight completely trivial. First off, we start off by casting Mirror Image on ourselves, and then we could go ahead and cast Haste, but first we should probably look at how high our AC is, right? Just with this cast of Mirror Image, we have a 36 AC. Don't worry, we'll get to it. But first off, we're gonna go ahead and cast Haste on ourselves, giving our AC another boost to 38. And then finally, we are going to Blade Song, which, you guessed it, gives us a further AC boost all the way up to 42 AC. We're a wizard, by the way, in case you were curious. Things are about to get just very, very unfortunate. It's about to be a really bad day to be a member of the Flaming Fist, as we just go ahead and plop down a classic fireball, because that's just what wizards do. We get really strong fireballs as well as being incredibly hard to hit. And as you're about to see, well, after this, you're about to see just how much damage we can do in melee. Okay, we missed, of course, our first attack because that's just on brand, right? Well, here's the second one. 46 damage, offhand attack, finishes that guy off. Go ahead and cast Action Surge. And then go and hit this guy with a Booming Blade. 54 damage, he's done. And another guy just standing here in shadow, so we get advantage. 42 damage, he's done. And that is just the first turn of combat. Mind you, we now have a 42 AC that enemies have to try to get through. There's a miss. There's a miss. And wouldn't you know, we're gonna throw something at us. AoE damage will affect you. That's a little bit unfortunate. There's another miss. Even after we lose all of our mirror image, we still have 33 AC, by the way, in case you were curious. Yeah, this build is an absolute abomination. If you want to see how it's done, and you don't want to watch the rest of the video, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to take 2 levels in Fighter to get Action Surge and Constitution Saving Throw proficiency, 1 level in Barbarian for unarmored defense, and then the rest of your levels into Bladesinger Wizard. There are a lot of ways to get through this build with your stats, so make sure you stick around and figure out how to deal with those. 94 damage in 1 turn, by the way. Just absolutely crazy. But yeah, stick around and I'll show you how to optimize this build to the maximum extent. Thank you guys, and like, subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay, let's get into the build. Now, of course, as a mostly wizard build, we're going to be starting off with fighter levels, but more importantly, I went ahead and made this a halfling character at the moment because, I don't know, I haven't made a halfling yet. You get some cool stuff from them, including lucky when you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use a new roll. So it kind of prevents natural ones from occurring, which is pretty cool. And then you also get brave, so you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened, which I think is pretty nice. And I chose Lightfoot so we can get advantage on stealth checks. And then from my background, I took a background that gives us proficiency in stealth. So if you want to be sneaky, you can be very, 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 very sneaky with this build. And now, like I mentioned, we are going to be starting off as a fighter here today because, well, we want Action Surge as soon as possible. And on the build in general, you don't have to start off as a fighter. You can start off playing the game as a Bladesinger. You can start off playing the game however you so desire. But once you hit level 12, or once you get to a point where you have everything you want out of Bladesinging and our other multi-class Barbarian, yeah, like I said, this is an absolute abomination of a build. You can, of course, respec to get fighter level 1 because it gives you Constitution saving throw proficiency, meaning you will drop concentration less on your spells. So you want to take fighter at level 1. So yeah, I'm just going to be building this through as if you are a level 12 character, as always. But, play around with the levels for whatever stage of the game you are in. As for your fighting style, we're going to be going with 2-weapon fighting. This is yet another dual-wielding build. When you make an attack with your offhand weapon, you gain, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the attack. Very useful. Deity, still have that mod enabled, is Yondala because, well, halfling. And then, like I said, background Urchin gives a sleight of hand and stealth proficiency. This is where this build gets absolutely batshit insane, as if it weren't already. Our starting stats. So there are like a million different ways to do this. If you want this to be your Ethel's hair character, you can start out just the same as this. If you don't want this to be your Ethel's hair character, you can take a stat improvement to bump up your dexterity or constitution both to 18 and 16 respectively. But the point of this build is to have as high as AC as possible, so we need both of these stats to be as high as possible, and then our intelligence at 16 is right where we want it to be. So what I would actually recommend doing, and this is going to sound crazy, is start like this, and then take your first feat to be an ability improvement. I'm talking you guys all the way through this so like we can get to the end goal together. take your ability improvement at your first feat, bump those both up so your AC is where it needs to be, and then later on, once you get Ethel's hair, respec, bump this up to 18, and then take a resilient constitution, take that feat to get this to 16. I should have just talked about this at level 4, but we're talking about it now. But the problem is, once you hit late game in Act 3, you're going to completely dump constitution so you can make one of these stats better. Or here's another option. You can completely dump intelligence, get the warped headband of intellect in Act 1 and play through that way, and then have higher wisdom. Just do it however you want. There are a million different ways. There's no wrong answer. For the purposes of this video, we're just going to go through with it like this. So, yeah. Greedy ass stat spread early, going to be changed later on to, have better charisma or wisdom or both. There's no wrong answer here, but we're just going to do this for the end game build. All right. Hopping into the rest of the leveling now. At fighter level 2, we get action surge, and we definitely want that with this build, so go ahead and take that. And now we can finally defer away from our fighter levels. We will not be taking a fighter subclass with this. We are instead going to hop straight into our main class, that being wizard, which will of course get us all of the glorious things about wizard, being spellcasting as well as a bunch of cantrips, get arcane recovery. It's just all the good things that come with being a wizard we finally get access to. As for your cantrips, pick your favorites. I'm gonna, as always, recommend Minor Illusion. It is very, very powerful. Mage Hand and Light are all great. Ray of Frost is going to be your best ranged option, and then the elephant in the room is, of course, Booming Blade. If you don't want to take it because it's overused, pick something else, but for the power building option, it is by far the best way to go here, so we'll be taking that. And for your spells, of course, you can find pretty much all of these from scrolls, so pick your favorite, but I'm going to go with Mage Armor because it's very good. We are then also going to take Magic Missile and Shield because they're great. Long Strider is always nice to have in a party. And then let's grab good old Chromatic Orb for some damage, and then why not take Burning Hands because I never see it get picked. Something like that. Pick your favorites here. This is probably what your main loadout is going to look like. You can cast Mage Armor if you want. Just, play around with it. Do whatever you want early on. The world is your oyster. Or your illithid, as it were. At wizard level 2, we're going to go ahead and grab our subclass, that of course being Blade Singing. A master of wizardry and swordplay. You combine the elegant maneuvers of a warrior with the devastating magics of a mage. Gain 2 new spell slots as well as Blade Song power, which allows you to cast Blade Song. You also gain training in War and Song. You gain proficiency in light armor, and with the performance skill, you also gain proficiency with daggers, sickles, short swords, rapiers, scimitars, and long swords. The light armor proficiency is nice. We will not be taking advantage of it though because of our next level. We also get the Blade Song, which is the main thing. The main slice here. We get to invoke the Blade Song. You gain a +2 to armor class, and your movement speed increases by 10 feet. You gain advantage in acrobatics and a +2 to charisma saving throws. You also gain a Blade Song climax ability to accumulate Blade Song charges during combat, which is all fantastic. And this will scale with our wizard level. The armor class and proficiency, or the armor class bonus and con save bonus will scale with our wizard level. Unfortunately, we won't be able to max it out at 9, but actually, no, we will. Yeah, we will be able to get it all the way up to level 9. That's pretty cool. For your spells at this level, pick your favorites. We'll go with Featherfall because it's great utility, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter because this build is hilarious. As for your weapon, pick your favorite. I believe rapiers sell back for the most, so yeah, doesn't really matter. Just pick whichever one you want to use. Wizard level 3. Again, you're probably going to want to go to wizard and then take your barbarian level, but as it stands, we're going to go ahead and grab our Shadow Blade at this level because that is going to be our main weapon for this build. This is also a Shadow Blade build. If you don't like that, I apologize, but we're going crazy. And then this is an AC focus build as well. We're grabbing Mirror Image. Things are about to get wild. Okay, we could take our 4th level of wizard now. Again, you're probably gonna, like I said, go to wizard, 1 barbarian, and then play through the game as a blade singer until you get to level 12, and then respec into fill up as a fighter. You guys get the idea. That's how I would do it anyway. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and switch over and grab our 1 level into Barbarian, which gives us rage, which we won't really be using, but it's, if you ever really need to, get resistance to physical damage and advantage on strength saving throws, you can, but you deal 2 extra damage with melee, improvised weapons, and throwing. If you're not ever, you know, concentrating on a spell, 2 extra damage isn't bad. But the main thing we are coming here for is unarmored defense. While you're not wearing armor, add your constitution modifier to your armor class. Yeah. That's what we're here for, boys. That's what we are here for, the unarmored defense feature. And now we hop back into Wizard for the rest of our levels. We'll grab a new cantrip here. Go ahead and take Light, because you're probably heading into Act 2 at this point. I don't know where we're at. For your spells, Misty Step is great. Hold Person is really good for this build. Blur is great for this build, because you're just going to be impossible to hit. Although, you might want to at least attempt to get hit sometimes, occasionally. I don't know. Blur might make that a little bit harder. Again, you're going to be getting all of these from scrolls, so just pick your favorites. We'll go with Invisibility, because it's fun. Now we'll go Hold Person for Chris. Yeah, we'll go with Hold Person. Then we are going to bump our Dexterity and our Constitution up to 18 and 16, raising our AC by a lot, basically. But like I said, if you are giving this character Ethel's Hair and respeccing once you get it, you would take Resilient at this level and get the +1 in Constitution that way. So, yeah. But if you aren't doing that, I guess I could just show off the Ethel's Hair version of the build. So we could just, yeah, we'll just show off the Ethel's Hair version. And then at level 5, you're getting your extra attack, probably not till level 6 if you're playing through it normally, but you do get an extra charge of Blade Song at this level. How's it? Blade Song Power. I assume that's just an extra charge. I don't know why it's not, doesn't just say that. We also get 2 new spells at this level, which is of course level 3 spells. They are some of the best in the game. Take Counterspell, because there are no scrolls of Counterspell. You're going to want to pick it up somehow. And then this is a great character for haste. So, yeah. At Wizard level 6, you get more spell slots, so you also finally get your extra attack. So you're probably going to be getting this at level 7, like I said. First 2 levels in Wizard, 3rd level in Barbarian. Level up with Wizard until you get to Wizard 9, and then take your last 2 levels in Fighter, and then respec is probably the way to do it, but take Fighter first, like I said. At this level, again, pick your favorites. You'll have scrolls. I quite like Sleet Storm. Sleet Storm's fun. Frackin'. Just literally pick your favorites. You'll have scrolls. I don't know why I'm worrying about picking the most optimal ones. We got everything we actually needed when we took Counterspell. At Wizard 7, we get more spells. You were going to want to get Fire Shield. Fire Shield is great for this build, because if you do get hit, you do retaliation damage. So make sure you grab Fire Shield. And then Wall of Fire is my favorite spell in the game, so we'll grab that. It's encounter winning. Wizard level 8 gets us more spells and a new feat. We'll go ahead and take... Our intelligence is going to be ever super high on this character unless you do Mirror of Lost shenanigans. So I should have said don't really focus too much on stuff that requires saving throws, but, you know, whatever. 16 is still fine for a lot of saving throws, and we'll have plenty of spell save DC items. So, again, as always, pick your favorites. And then, assuming you have Ethel's Hair, you can bump your dexterity up to 20, further increasing your potency with stuff and things. And then finally, at Wizard level 9, we get more Blade Song charges and 2 new spells, including level 5 spells. Cone of Cold is great. Hold Monster is great. Conjure Elemental is not as good as it would be on other characters, because we don't get 6th level spells, unfortunately. So you can't summon Myrmidons, but still nice to have summons, so why not? And again, scrolls. So pick your favorites. Whatever the party needs at that point in the game, you should know. So, what are you getting out of this? Maybe the strongest spell sword in the game. With an AC so high, almost nothing will be able to hit you unless you get crit. But just for the sake of continuity, I will show you what the stat spread looks like once you get to the late game. So like I mentioned, if you want to dump your intelligence and use the Warped Headband early, you can do something like this. Of course, just bump your wisdom all the way up. You can do something like that and get a little bit of both. Yeah, just the world is your oyster in terms of your skills, so mess around with it, do whatever you want. And then also, once you get to the very end game, here is what I would do. I would dump my constitution completely, keep my dexterity where it's at. Again, with Ethel's hair, you'll be fine. Bump your intelligence up to 16, and then use these remaining points to even these out. I would probably make sure you get pretty high wisdom. Yeah, you can get 14, 10, 16. Yeah, you can just do a pretty typical spread like that. So your constitution will be set to 23, spoiler alert, with an item. So however you want to spread your stats, spread your stats. I'm not your dad. One thing worth noting is if you do go the route of, or once you do dump your constitution in the late game, you can get a completely separate feat, because you'll have your dexterity, of course, at 20 if you use Ethel's hair. If you don't have Ethel's hair, you can bump your dexterity up to 20 at this point, and that'll be fine. But if you have a free feat to choose, by all means, go with whatever makes you happiest. Tough is going to be pretty good because you'll get a lot of extra HP out of that, which we are going to have a ton of extra HP. You can go with something fun like Lucky is always good. There's got to be Durable is also another option for your way to get that +1 to con in the early game if you go that route. Dual wielder, if you want to dual wield weapons that aren't light, but I don't think we'll need to do that. Alert is, of course, always broken. Yeah, pick your favorite, honestly. There's got to be something in here I'm missing. Sentinel could be really good on this build. And you could always just go with Warcaster as well. Could never drop concentration. I think I like Warcaster on this build. It makes a lot of sense for the theming. Now, as always, we can make a build stronger with items, and I know you see what I see. Yeah, we have a 25 AC without doing anything with this build. So, yeah, it's a little bit insane. So, the higher your armor class is, the harder you already hit. We have 10 just base armor class, +4 from dex, +6 from our constitution and unarmored defense, +1 from the cloak of protection, +2 from the cloak of the weave, or the robe of the weave, +1 from evasive shoes, +1 from the ring of protection. And if we come over to our cheat chest and we grab our anti-Ethel hair, which we will be taking with this character to consume, get up to 20 dexterity, we have a 26 base AC before doing anything with this build. That is absolutely absurd. So let's go over the end game item set. First and foremost, it's kind of a crutch item, kind of a staple, but the Fistbreaker Helm is just incredible for this build. You get a +1 bonus to spell save DC, and you gain a +1 bonus to initiative rolls. Both unbelievable options, both unbelievable passive effects that you get just for simply wearing this item. Early game options, as always, the Haste Helm is going to be great for getting you through the early game. The Helmet of Arcane Acuity will do magnificent things for you as well. The Hood of the Weave can be great late game, get an extra +2 bonus to spell save DC and attack rolls. The +2 spell save DC will offset our somewhat low intelligence modifier. And then finally, we also get the warped headband of intellect. If you want to dump your intelligence early game, this can help get you through that part of the game. As for your cloak, we will be rocking the Cloak of Protection, just so we get even more to that AC. If you don't really care about that, you can of course go with the Cloak of Displacement that you give yourself blur all the time, making it enemies have disadvantage to hit you, which, you know, is also a great option. You'll have just a pesky only 25 AC without that. So of course, you know, go with whatever you want. You can also just go with the Cloak of the Weave, gain another +1 to spell save DC and attack rolls, and you also get absorb elements. Absorb elemental damage once per short rest. Take half the damage from the next elemental target or attack targeting you, and deal an additional 1d6 of that element type on your next attack. Obviously incredible. Whichever one you want to go with. I kind of just want to max out the AC because it's funny. So that's what we did. As for your robe, go with the Robe of the Weave. It's going to be the best thing here. You get a +1 bonus to, again, spell save DC and attack rolls. You have Weave Eater. Whenever the wearer succeeds a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1 to 6 hit points, and you gain a +2 bonus to your armor class. That's pretty useful. Early game options to protect the Sparks Wall. You get this early on in the Underdark at the Forge. Pretty easy to find. You get a +1 bonus to spell save DC, and the wearer has a +1 bonus to armor class and saving throws while they have lightning charges, which I believe you can just get by hitting things while wearing this, or you can use any of the multiple lightning charge items to help build those up. So the world's your oyster there. Mid game, I kind of like the Ice Bite robe for this build because we are very hard to hit, but when we do get hit, we want to punish people. So I would rock the you know, this protected sparks wall until you get this. You get this in the cemetery in Act 2. Gives you a free level 3 cast of Armor of Agathis, which will do cold damage when opponents hit you. Pretty good. And then you can also get the Robe of Exquisite Focus from Araj, Oblodra, and Moonrise Towers, which gives you a flat +1 bonus to spell save DC. Probably not quite as good as the Protected Sparks Wall, but if you're not doing anything that has to do with lightning damage or lightning charges, then, you know, you can just swap those out, and I'm pretty sure this just looks phenomenal, right? Yeah, it's a great look. That's an exquisite look, some might say. But for your gloves, you can go with the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power. When you hit a target with a spell or cantrip that uses a weapon, you gain Arcane Acuity, +1 from strength saving rolls. These were previously not working before patch 8. They work exceptionally well now, and they're probably the best gloves for spell sword builds or Gish builds, whatever you want to say. But you get these in the Toll House upstairs in Act 2. In the early game, you can use the Braces of Defense since we're not wearing armor class or have a shield. We can do that. We can do that. Arcane Acuity is overpowered. It makes it so basically we never have to fail a spell, obviously. +1 bonus to attack rolls and a difficulty class for each remaining turn. Yeah. We'll, of course, be applying that constantly. And then our spells like Hold Person or what have you will basically never fail, so we get guaranteed crits. But if you want to have a 28 AC and thus even higher AC once we, you know, do shenanigans like Mirror Image or Blade Song or Haste, by all means, you know, pick your favorites. But yeah, it's a definite nice to have further AC. And then for our shoes, we are rocking the evasive shoes for, you guessed it, more armor class. But the boots of speed are also phenomenal here. So are the usual suspects, the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, the Hellcrawler boots, just anything that isn't medium armor, basically. As long as it's not medium armor, they'll be fine. I would love nothing more than to be able to wear the Boots of Striding with these. When you cast a spell that requires concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn, and while you're concentrating, you cannot get knocked prone or moved against your will. One of the only ways we will ever drop concentration with this build is if we get knocked prone by something, but these are medium armor, so we lose out on all of our AC bonuses if we wear them. So I can, unfortunately, say that they will not be very good for us. As our jewelry, though, we have the Amulet of Greater Health. You, of course, get this late in Act 3. I guess you can get it as soon as you get to the city. Whenever you want to go to the House of Hope, you can get it there. This sets the wearer's Constitution score to 23. The enchantment has no effect on the Constitution, blah, 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 blah. You also get advantage on Constitution saving throws. So I guess you don't need Warcaster if you have this. So take a, you know, different feat. Take Alert, probably. It's the way to go. So, but before you get this, you can, of course, have Warcaster. Kind of forgot that it gave that effect. Regardless, it's nice to have. Set your AC to just absolutely through the roof. So definitely the best option there. But early game options, Amulet of Misty Step, Psychic Spark for an extra boost to Magic Missile, Amulet of the Harpers for another cast of Shield. You know, just whatever you want to use to get you through the first 2 acts by all means. And then the Necklace of Elemental Augmentation is going to be the best damage option. When one of your cantrips deal elemental damage, add your spellcasting modifier to the attack, so you'll be adding an extra 3 damage with every single hit with Booming Blade as well as Shadow Blade. They both work. Booming Blade and Shadow Blade also both trigger the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power, which, yeah, is crazy. Rings, Ring of Protection, more AC. Feel free to swap that out, though. And then we also have the Ring of Arcane Synergy. When you deal damage with a cantrip, Booming Blade, you gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns, which just deals additional damage equal to your modifier or your spellcasting modifier. So furthermore, 3 damage. You can also just use the Ring of Elemental Infusion. Whenever you deal elemental damage, you deal a d4 of that element on your next attack. So there's plenty of ways to get just a ton of extra damage out of this build through your ring slots. So pick your favorites, switch around however you please. As for your weapons, this character's main weapon is, of course, going to be Shadow Blade, and we do get a level 5 spell slot, so we can, of course, cast this at will and or at its highest maximum value, dealing 48 plus 5 psychic damage, which is absolutely absurd. So this is a level 3 spell you get, of course, from leveling up, and there are further ways to augment this as well. Obviously, you don't want to lose that level 5 spell slot, so what you can do is carry around the, where are my necklaces? The Spellcrux Amulet, the Spellcrux Amulet, so you can, you know, restore that level 5 spell slot as soon as you cast it. You wake up, cast it, use the Spellcrux Amulet to get that spell slot back, and then you still have your Arcane Recovery charge for, you know, another level 5 spell slot. So okay, you can basically have the level 5 slot whenever you do need it that way. And then there is another item I need to grab, but I don't know where the fuck I put it, so let me look. All right, found it. Another thing you're going to make sure you grab is the Resonance Stone, which you get in the Illithid Colony beneath the Moonrise Towers. You get it over by the Gift Mine. You can look up a tutorial on where to find it. But what this does is grants all nearby creatures steeped in bliss, seized by the great joy, affected. The affected entity is more energized and also mentally compliant, has advantage on physical checks and disadvantage on mental saving throws, which could be annoying. You can offset that, of course, with your amulet or warcaster. So yeah, it's pretty annoying, but the main thing here is vulnerability to psychic damage. This is just an AoE that affects everybody. So yeah, we're doubling our Shadow Blade damage just by walking around holding the Resonance Stone. Like I said, it is a little bit annoying, but we can offset the disadvantage on mental saving throws just with warcaster or the amulet. So it is a double-edged sword, but so is, you know, potentially like hundreds of damage on every single attack. I think it's pretty worth. But yeah, that's pretty much all that we have for optimizing Shadow Blade. In your offhand, I think Rhapsody is probably the best offhand weapon in the game. You gain a +1 bonus to attack rolls and damage and spell save DC for every foe you slay up to 3 foes. You also possibly inflict bleeding when hitting a creature with this weapon while hiding or invisible, which of course we do have advantage on, and we can also, you know, take greater invisibility to do more shenanigans with that. But again, there are a million great offhand options, including the one you'll use through a majority of the game, the Knife of the Undermountain King. It's just so good. Like, do we even really need to talk about it? I get improved critical, so that's great. And when you roll 2 dice or 2 damage or less, reroll the dice, taking the higher result. That only works on the knife itself. And the Shadow Blade effect, advantage on lightly or heavily obscured targets while using this blade, also only works on that. I believe the damage only works with the knife, but if that works for Shadow Blade, it's even better. Regardless, that's a great offhand weapon. Another one is the Cold Snap, which you get in Rivington. Gives you the chilling counter when a creature misses you with an attack, which will be all the time. It must succeed a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or be chilled for 2 turns. Now, pretty much everything will be succeeding that, but you know, it's pretty nice if they do manage to fail. And it also gives you a further +1 to armor class, but chilled. The affected is vulnerable to cold damage and resistant to fire damage, so that's pretty useful. But the main thing here is, of course, 27 AC. Another item that gives that, however, though, is going to be the Bloodthirst, which you, of course, get from Orin. Gives you improved critical, as well as +1 armor class and True Strike Repost. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you may retaliate and gain True Strike, which is pretty good. Obviously, the main thing here is improved critical and the +1 armor class. That's probably the best in slot. It's probably better than Rhapsody, but Rhapsody's a little bit easier to get. You just have to beat Cazador instead of beating Orin. But, you know, once you get to the late game, it'll be fine. As for your bow slot, it's a Hellrider longbow, +3 to initiative. You are never going to be making ranged attacks with this character. At least very rarely you will be. But if you ever need to, you can. But obviously, you know, fucking +3 to initiative is quite good. Early game, bow of awareness for +1 to initiative, and then if you do want to make more ranged attacks, Bow of the Banshee is great. Love this build. I need to make a Fair Archer build. I just haven't gotten around to it. And then finally, we have the Darkfire Shortbow. You all know what it does. Don't need to explain that one too much. It's good here, so just pick your favorite, but the best one is going to be the +3 to initiative bow, so we don't have to take alert. But of course, it is probably good to take alert. That being said, I do appreciate you guys watching. This build is absolutely crazy. AC pushing 40 into the mid 40s, could even be high 40s, depending on whether or not you're using shield or, you know, any other shenanigans you guys find to raise it even higher. And what you're getting out of it is just a very, 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 very powerful Blade Singer that will never get hit. It's a ton of fun. It's an absolute abomination, but I love it. And hopefully you guys will as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy, guys.